Okay, Junior Cert Higher Level. This is 2011. It's Paper 1, Question 1. Okay, so it says there, Peter and Anne share a lotto prize in the ratio of 3.5 is to 2.5. Peter's share is 35,000. What's the total prize fund? Okay, so what you need to do, the normal way of doing these questions would be you'd add the shares together, you'd divide to get one part, and then you'd multiply as you need. But because you're being told Peter's share, and what you can say is the 3.5 parts is equivalent to 35,000. Now, you can convert the 3.5 into 3.5, or you could double both sides, so as that you'd know 7 parts is equal to 70,000. Or you can just say to find one part, I need to divide by 3.5. So one part then, so you can use your calculator. Always use your calculator just to be doubly sure. Remember, if you're going for your A, these are the bits that count. So 10,000. In total though, lads, the total number of parts is 2.5 plus 3.5. So that means that there are 6 parts in total. If I know that one part is 10,000, I multiply this side by 6. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So that means that 6 parts is 60,000. So that's the total prize fund. That's your part A. Okay, on to the part B then. And I did this one in class with you. So 1.21 by 10 to the 4. You can just type that into your calculator, or maybe you know it by off the top of your head. By 10 to the 4, really that means multiplied by 10,000. So 1.21 multiplied by 10,000. In other words, we're moving the decimal place 4 spaces to the right. The other number you're given is 121 by 10 to the 5. 1.21 by 10 to the 5. So we're going to move the decimal place 5 places to the right. You're asked for the difference. So it's 121,000 minus so it's 108,900. Just taking that up here, 108,900. The decimal point is here, although we don't usually show it. But what we're going to do is we're going to get it to jump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So that'll tell me it's going to be by 10 to the 5. And the number that is now there is 1.089. It wouldn't matter how many zeros you put in after that, after the decimal point. So there's no need to put them in. And that's it. There is your answer. It's in scientific notation. Just a couple of things. I went through this in class with you. This number here, that's the A value. And you're told that A has to be between 1 and 10. So it can equal to 1, but it's not allowed to be 10. So that's why rather than moving the decimal place 4 spaces and ending up with 10.89, that would be outside of this range here. By 10 to the n, you're just told in the question that n is an element of z. It just means that it can be an integer, a positive or negative whole number, and in this case it's going to be positive. Okay, we're on to the B part 2 of the question now. You're asked, write the square root of 27 over 3 squared in the form 3 to the n, where n is an element of q. Well, let's just get the question down first of all. So root 3, 27 all over 3 squared. So this kind of thing would be very new to you. A couple of little rules, maybe you haven't seen them before. Root 3, if anything to the power, if you're getting the square root of any number, what you can do there is you can say it's 3 to the power of a half. So what I'd like you to do is just pause the video for a moment. I want you to type in the square root of 3 into your calculator, see what you get. Clear it, and then put in 3 to the power of 1 over 2 and see what you get. Okay. Multiplied by, well, 27. Well, 3 by 3 by 3 gives me 27, so in other words it's 3 to the power of 3. And you can see that everything now has the same base number. Just so that we're 100% sure, the big number, that's the base, and this number here, that's the power. Okay. So there's a rule in indices. These are called indices. Whenever you're dealing with powers, it's indices. And it says when you multiply them, so I'm just looking at the top line, when you multiply, in other words, you can just add the powers. So 3, you're saying 3 plus 1 over 2, so the top line is going to be 3 to the power of 3 and a half, and that's still all over 3 squared. There's another rule in indices, and it says that when you are dividing, you subtract. So in other words, this is going to change to 3 to the power of 3 and a half minus 2, which is 3 to the power of 1 and 1 over 2. So you can't see that. 1 and 1 over 2. And you're finished. Possibly, or maybe a better way to write it would be 3 to the power of 3 over 2. So 3 over 2 is the same as 1 and a half, and I think that's a better way to write it. Just so that you know, it says n is an element of Q. Q is the rational set of numbers. In other words, fractions. And as you can see, the power in this instance is a fraction. Okay, we're going to go on to the next part of the question, the C part. Fair bit to it. By rounding to the nearest whole number, estimate the value of all of that stuff there. So let's get it down first of all. Sorry, that's 6/4 multiplied by. Okay, so rounding everything to the nearest whole number, you're still going to have that square root up there. That's going to go to 7 squared plus, be careful, that's going to be 15. Remember, you're looking at the 5 to make your decision, looking at the 1 to make your decision here. All over 8 minus 2 multiplied by 2. You need to be a little bit careful with what's underneath the line. Obviously, PEMDAS comes into play here, so be a little bit careful. Another mistake that I don't want you to make is the square and the square root don't cancel in the top line there, because the 15 is stopping that happening. So what you're going to have to say is the square root of 49 plus 15 all over. So the 2 by 2 gets done first. So it's 8 minus 4. Square root 64 all over 4. So 2 is your estimate. Then you're asked to evaluate it properly. Sorry, calculator wise, just give me a second now. answer there, the actual answer just down at the bottom here, is 1.735149,659. Just double check, have you given the answer the way that they wanted it? They say this time they want it correct to one decimal place, which means I'm going to look at the 3 to make up my mind. So it's going to be 1.7. Close enough, close enough. Part 2. Connor and Una were travelling to South Africa. They brought 5760 rand, that's the currency of South Africa, in the bank. The bank charged them €630, which included 5% service charge. What was the value of the euro in rand on that day? So in other words, what was the exchange rate? Okay, for this kind of question, I suppose what you're not really being told is, in other words, you want a ratio 1 is to something, so €1 is to something, or 1 rand is to something, and then you can make up your mind which one you want to leave as your final answer. So they were travelling to South Africa. They bought 5760 in the bank. The bank charged them euros. Let's see. So your €630 there, that includes 5% service charge. So the first thing you need to do is you need to get take off 5%. So that €630 really represents 1.05%. So, or sorry, 100 and, sorry, let me just start again. Again, sorry. Really represents 105%, have it right this time. So you need to try and get 100%. So you need to try and get it back to so that you can make something equivalent. So you're going to divide by 105 both sides. That gives you 1%, and you're going to multiply by 100 both sides. So effectively, really what you're doing is you just divide 630 by 1.05. 6, sorry, divided by, I put in the wrong one. So €600. So €600 is what they should have gotten, and then they were charged their percentage on top of that. So that means that €600 is the equivalent of the rand that they got, 5760. So you're asked, what was the value of euro in rand? So in other words, what was the exchange rate? So what was the value of the euro in rand? In other words, get €1 on its own, divide both sides by 600. So €1 was worth 9.6 rand. That's it.